Let's start this call. So first and foremost, welcome to Two Star Diamond Call. Love, love, love this call, and thank you so much for all of you showing up. So I want to ask real quick, did any of you guys step out of your comfort zone, your comfort zone, and really put into action last week's call about consistency and creating leadership? Anybody? And if you don't say it, I'm going to call you out because I know y'all.
I did.
Hey!
So I actually made like a survey for my team that was kind of just asking what they're struggling with, how I can help them, and I did the GEM test again in there, so they like filled it out, and I got all those back, and so I've been really having one-on-ones with the ones who are wanting to do this, and it was like, I feel like I should have known this stuff like the last 2 years, but a lot of them are actually newer, and I'm realizing that I'm kind of how Amy Silverman's talked about, like her first 2 years, she's realized not a lot of her first 2-year coaches are still with her right now. And I'm kind of starting to realize that I've kind of found more of my niche, and I'm realizing now. So I've just been really working on being a better leader, I guess, because that's something that I've realized that I've been struggling with, and last week really helped to just realize that I just need to get out of my comfort zone and be like, hey, this is my vision. This is what I want because I want this for you guys more than anything because I want to see them through. So.
I love it. Thank you for that. I had barely on my 3-star diamond call. It was awesome. I had a coach quote Amy Silverman that basically said, it doesn't matter really the training that you have. That's not going to make you successful. It's you being unapologetically and authentically you that's going to make you successful. And that is why Amy Silverman is so successful. So thank you for bringing her up. That was awesome. Anybody else? We'll take one more and then we'll get this party started. Yes, Kathleen.
Okay, yeah, I took her advice of leading by example, and I kind of made up a whole, not a mission statement for my
I don't think so.
I want my team to help figure that out, but I put the question to them: what does our team culture be? You know, what makes our team?
I know. So
what makes hey guys,
yeah, okay.
Yourself. Hold on one second. Yeah. Sorry, Kathy. Will you guys mute yourself, please? Thank you. Hey, you're okay.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah, I had to admit I was kind of absent from my team page for the whole month because my workers were all on cup teams, and so that's where their energy was focused. So I didn't pay attention to much of the big groups. So I apologize for that because there's no reason that I shouldn't have been. But then yeah, I said we need to come back together, and I want you guys to help me figure out what is our team culture. And what makes us us? Why would somebody want to join our team over another one? So I'm really excited about starting on that process and making it more of a group effort rather than just me passing down stuff to them all the time. So I'm happy about it.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks for putting that out there. That will help you and your team grow so strong if you can sincerely ask, hey, what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? And they'll be so thankful that they can be candid and true with you. So I love that. Thank you, Kathleen. Okay, let's go ahead and kick off this call because I'm so excited that I don't have to talk very much, which is a good thing because we have Crystal here who is absolutely amazing coach. Yes, she is a 2-star diamond, but I will tell you, she is currently ranked number 194 in the network. And after yesterday's numbers, that's about 370,000 coaches. She's number 194. She'll also, once the August Elite report comes in, she'll actually have all of her elite points. All we need to do is get her to 5-star diamond, which will be a piece of cake because she's on rock star status. What's really cool is that she does live in Texas. She has a daughter. Her and her husband have a military background. But one thing that's really, really cool is she actually did QVC and promoted the 21-day fix on that. So I just think that's so cool because I don't think you get enough encouragement and excitement out of that because that is pretty legit when you're on there with Autumn. So with that being said, Crystal is going to go ahead and speak to us about inspiring coaches into action, how to get them started right now strong so you can help them be successful and help your team be successful. Go ahead, Crystal.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that amazing introduction. First of all, I just want to say thank you all for taking time out of your day. A lot of you are busy moms or you're working, and I really appreciate you taking the time to be here with me today. Honestly, you're not going to hear anything super new that you've not heard before, but I'm hoping that I can put a little spin on things and offer you something of value. Typically, I start these presentations with giving you a little bit of insight on my personal story and journey with how I ended up with Beachbody, but I want to save that for later because I want to dive right into how to inspire coaches into action. So I want you to start off by imagining with me that you were to sign a coach, and instantly they started to hang on to every word you had to say. Not only were they intently listening, but they were actually following through, right? A world where excuses did not exist. No more 6-month plan to get to Emerald. What is that anyways, right? And, a world where you didn't have to peel someone's eyes back for them to see the opportunity that Beachbody is putting before us. That's a perfect world. That's might not ever happen with all of my coaches, but that is what I'm striving towards. And in order for you to create that and to create a successful team, you must never manage, but you must seek to inspire your coaches into action. And being an effective leader is something that I strive towards every day, something I stumble on every single day. However, I feel like I've gotten a pretty good grasp on how to get my coaches to see a big picture and to actually have them go after that. So after a lot of personal trial and error, I've come up with 4 tips for you on how you can actually start to create some momentum for your teams. And I'm just going to dive right into them. And then we'll, if you guys have any questions about any of the tips, then we can get into that a little bit later. So tip 1. From the start, I have tried to foster an environment that at the core promotes empowerment and possibility. Your coaches need to know that A, they can do this, and B, it will work if they work it. And I'm sure that's not something new to you, but it's so important. So I know a lot of coaches say, if a coach wants to do it, they're going to do it no matter what I say, right? However, some of us we have a natural ability to become a leader, or we step up to roles. There are a lot of people that are not the same. And so what I've tried to do in my experience is to connect people to a greater idea of themselves and almost give them a nudge into being a leader. So how am I doing this? 1, at the end of each month, I host a team leader call. There's no rank requirement to be on this call. They could have just signed up yesterday. The only requirement for them is that they come to the table with something of value, or that they come to the call and they're willing to discuss with me whatever we have that topic for that call. So in August, our call was our onboarding system for new coaches. I had 12 coaches on that call, all Emerald or below, and I got tons of feedback. So what does that do for them? It starts to empower them to be a leader and to have a voice, number 1. And 2, it's a great insight for me on where our weaknesses are within our system and how I can improve them. But I think the most vital thing with that is that it starts to help them gain confidence. And that's the best thing. Have you ever had someone that was like, they told you, oh, I just want to be a discount coach. I don't want to do anything with this business. That was me at the beginning. And then all of a sudden they start to do something and they're like, oh, well, okay, maybe I'll be on this call, or here, I'm offering this advice. And so you start to see them blossom, and that is really neat. So fostering an environment, of possibility and empowerment is number 1 tip for you. Number 2, and I know that this has already been discussed on a few of these calls, but creating a vision for your team. And you as the leader, you have to grasp onto that vision so tightly that what they do is they take it and they run with it and they make it their own. That is how you create an organizational vision. And your coaches need to have a clear sense of what you stand for as a team. And also, they need to believe in that very existence. So Simon Sinek is someone I have followed for a very, very long time. He spoke at Summit, and he does a great job at helping people create organizational visions. So if you go to his website, it's just simonsinek.com, and there's tons of templates for you to kind of go through and create a vision for your team. So let me share with you my team's vision. It says, everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. The way in which we challenge the status quo is by uplifting others, cultivating authentic leaders within our community, creating a goal-driven and positive environment, and providing extraordinary support, accountability, and resources to our customers. We represent an idea of possibility where anyone, regardless of past circumstances, can begin to create a life by design as a team revival coach. So what I do is when I get on my Getting Started Right call with my new coaches, I have them print that out. I did like a little thing on PicMonkey. I have them print that out, and I tell them to put that in a spot they're going to see every single day. So they can't forget what we're about as a team. Also, especially for me right now, I'm not financially in a spot where I can just bless everyone with tons of gifts. But for my Emerald coaches, I have this printed from Vistaprint on nice paper, and I send that to them. That's like their Emerald gift. Another thing that I do around the idea of creating vision is within my team page, I'm very, very active in there, and I will do like mini challenges. So once a week, we have a vision post day, and that for that day, one of their posts, it needs to be about sharing a breadcrumb of their vision, a way that Beachbody is getting them closer to that vision, and they share it on their personal page. So what I do is I scroll, and when I see someone that's done that, I will take their post and share it in my team page. If I'm not getting a lot of interaction, whenever I share it and I kind of highlight that coach, it's like 20 people. I just did that. I just did that. I just did that. And so now we're creating a team revival movement. It's not just me creating a vision for my team. It's my entire organization. And I have a lot of people that participate in that, which is really, really cool. So the more they speak their vision, the more they believe in it, and the more that they start to work towards that. So that is my second tip for you. Number 3, highlighting strengths. Most people are well aware of their weaknesses, right? I know that one of my weaknesses is procrastination. Sometimes I'm disorganized. I'm well aware of that. I don't need to hear that from people every day. So what I focus on is really highlighting my coach's strengths, pulling that out, and building them up with that. So building their confidence. And the other thing with, the whole idea of weaknesses is we have either been given or we've put labels on ourselves. When I was a kid, I was labeled stubborn, a brat, selfish. I carried those into my adulthood. And that's another reason why, a lot of women have a really hard time with body image, self-confidence. In the past, someone has told us, we're not worthy because we don't look a certain way. Your coaches need to have those labels stripped as well. So all the negative labels that they've given themselves, I don't allow them to talk about them. One thing that I do also on my Getting Started Right call is I love this book. It's called StrengthsFinder 2.0. I think Bonnie Engel just talked about this book too on one of her calls. The neat thing about it is in the back, there is a little code for them to go on and do a survey. And if my coaches can't afford this, I will figure out a way to get it to them, or I'll send it, because I think it's so valuable. In this book, let's say one of your strengths is that you're a learner. It'll have a section where it says ideas for action. Refine how you learn. For example, you might learn best by teaching. If so, seek one-out opportunities to present to others. You might learn best through quiet reflection. If so, seek quiet time. And then for me, what that does is I also have a space where it's working with someone that's a learner. And now I know that that's how I can work with that person on one of their strengths, because we're not all the same. And what motivates one person might not motivate the other person, right? If you've ever read the book, The 5 Love Languages, you know that you and your spouse, you might not have the same love language. So you might have to work differently with one of your coaches. And that book, when I started to implement that on my team, I just saw people take off. The other thing that I do with that is going back to not allowing negative self-talk. I also don't allow negative talk on my team page. I know that's a little ballsy, but here's the thing. If I have someone on my team page and they are complaining about coach relations or they've had a problem, new coaches that come in, that's what they see. They're automatically, subconsciously have this idea that when I call coach relations, I'm going to have a problem. Or, that these other companies, what they're doing is wrong. I tell my coaches, stay on your own stage and let's be positive and foster that same environment for these new coaches. When you've been doing this for a while, let's be real. You're going to get in a slump or you're going to have a problem, and it's going to be frustrating. But that's what we talk to each other in personal messages for, or we go to our upline coach. Side note, that something that works really well in my challenge groups is, how we post our before pictures. A lot of people do that in their challenge group. Great tool for them to kind of track their progress. I don't allow my challengers to be like, oh, I hate my thighs, or I can't stand my middle. They have to post, I love this body because. And I know that sounds cheesy, maybe a little bossy, but what it has done is I've had so many people come back to me and say, I am starting to love my body because I've pushed all this negativity out. So I do that in my challenge groups, and I do it on my team page. And it has truthfully kind of just, from the beginning, we've never had a problem with a bunch of negative talk. And so there's always this positive, supportive atmosphere. So that is let me give you one more tip with that. I also will spotlight coaches when they step outside of their comfort zone, or those that step up. So one of our calls, Rachel talked about working as a team, and she has coaches that, will post a national wake-up call, help her with things. Amazing. Another thing that I do is, like, if I need help with something, I'll go in and I'll say, hey, I need a favor real quick. It's going to take you 5 minutes. Anyone that steps up and does that, I'll just do a quick shout out on the team page. And I always have people, hey, what can I do? What can I do to help? So that's been really cool. And it's also, again, bringing out their strengths. Because someone might be strong in creating a pick monkey, or maybe they're good at writing posts. So it's just pulling those new people in and helping them see their strengths as well. Okay, so number 4, show up. You have to show up consistently. Create a system for your team, whether that be weekly team calls, bi-weekly team calls, monthly. We all know that life happens, schedules change, but it is so vital for you to be a consistent leader in all aspects, because when you're a consistent leader, your coaches become consistent leaders, and that just feeds into your downline. They will emulate that. And so, when I decided as an Emerald coach, I said, okay, I'm going to have my own team call. Had 2 coaches. That was it. And both at the time were telling me they were not going to be doing anything with this business. I said, okay. But I still had my weekly team calls and invited them. First couple weeks, no one showed up. And then one person showed up. And now I have half of my downline showing up on my calls. And so I do them weekly, and I have a really, really good, time on my calls to build community. But also it's just, the new coaches just get on because that's what their coaches did and their coaches did. And so, I've been very consistent about that from the beginning. And it really starts to also show them what dedication looks like in the midst of times that are going to be a little more down, kind of like July, right? So they just get this idea that being consistent and showing up, they can do that even in the hard times. So that's been really, really cool for me. The same thing goes with my coach and my challenge group. So if I have a coach training group, I really like to have at least 5 people in those groups. But let's say only one's participating. I'm going to continue with that one person. It's really not a whole lot of work on me because I already have all my content saved and my videos saved, but they're going to get something out of it. But the most important thing is they're going to see that I'm not just going to leave them hanging. I'm not going to say, well, we only got one person showing up, so I'm not going to do this. It's not worth my time. I need that person to know that they're worth my time, and that I'm going to be consistent with them no matter if I have 1 or 20 people. So consistently is definitely key. And then what that does too is it starts to have, your new coaches, they can jump in on those times and start to do the same. You can give them little tiny things. If they're not ready to run a challenge group, on those groups that are a little slower, they can jump in too. And then they get to see and they get to be a part of what you're doing in that group. So that's been key for me. I went through those really fast, but before I share a kind of glimpse of my story, I just want to tell you guys, I want you to be fully aware that you have the power to set the tone on your team. You get to do that. When they say that we get to build our own tribe, it is so true. Your coaches are going to follow what you as a leader do. It doesn't matter if you have an upline coach that is not active or if they're not doing their part. If you are, you can build a whole organization that's doing the same. And when you're caring about your teams, that's what your coaches are going to do as well. Be a strong leader, be a servant leader, and not a weak manager. There's such a big difference. And Simon Sinek says people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. As a team, you have to believe that at your core, you have to believe that at your core. And so that's been great for me. So with all of that, let me kind of show you how that feeds into my story. My whole motto this past year has been be ready, willing, and grateful for whatever comes your way. I was raised by an alcoholic mother. My entire life, I knew heartache and struggle. That was very real to me. And I went in the military at 18. I got married by 19, divorced by 21. My husband he liked money and women, and he got both of those while I was in Iraq. So I came home to absolutely nothing. A couple years later, got remarried to my husband, Marcus, and we had our amazing daughter. I got out of the military. My husband went in. So I then decided I have a degree in organizational management. Didn't want to do any of that. So I decided that I was going to be a cosmetologist because I like doing hair. And I did that for a while, got very unhealthy, had very bad back problems from my time in the military. And so basically my doctor said, you either get healthy and strengthen your core, we're going to do surgery. So that's how I came to Beachbody. I started this business as a discount coach. I wanted nothing to do with the business side, right? Then I started to see what this program could do, and I believed in it. And my coach empowered me to be a leader, and I ran with that because I knew nothing else. She said, you are going to be a leader, and you're going to be a rock star, and this is going to work for you. And I said, okay. So I quit my job 3 months later after that and started to build my team. Brittany mentioned that I was, had the honor of being on QVC with Autumn. And that all falls into, I feel like, my whole idea with consistency. How that happened for me was I was contacted by the Success Story team. They asked me to send paperwork in. It was in like 10 minutes. And so I got the opportunity to be in the 21-day Fix Extreme test group, the official one. And with that, again, ready, willing, and grateful, just in it and being consistent, and just knowing that there was a big picture behind everything. And then I got the opportunity to do QVC. I got to do some stuff at Summit. But honestly, that stuff is phenomenal, fantastic. But I can tell you, if I've never had that opportunity, if I've never made another cent with Beachbody, there are no more financial gains because of the community that I've built, because of the relationships, and the fact that I get to see people striving towards something that they want. I'll never leave. It's been the greatest experience, and I really think it's been has everything to do with my coaches and the relationships I've built. So those are just a few tips. I don't know if I went over or under on time, but
that was perfect. Thank you for your story. That was strong. That was impactful, and I absolutely loved it. And I know that it inspired so many of us coaches. So thank you for that.
Of course.
And your tips, holy moly. Okay. So coaches, what questions do you have? Because Crystal is on here willing and able to answer any questions that you have. And to ask her how she has become so successful, obviously it's truly through inspiring. But what other questions do you have? Yeah, Shannon. Awesome. She just says, great job, Crystal.
Oh, thank you.
Any questions, though, that we have for her? And don't be quiet. Don't be shy.
I have a question. Sorry, I'm talking a lot today. Okay, so I've been really trying to shout my coaches out a lot more too. And I don't know, do you have like a big team page and then like a personally sponsored team page? So I feel like I've been trying to do it more in my personally sponsored page because my team page is getting really big. I mean, I still shout some people out, but I guess, I don't know, I'm trying to balance the team culture, and I really want that with my coaches, like just mine that I've personally sponsored, but as well as my bigger team. So like with your vision posts and sharing the breadcrumbs, do you shout them out in the big team page or in your literal one? And I'm just wondering.
I do both. So my personally sponsored team page, because I want to offer them incentives, I want to do special things for them. I will eventually be able to do that for my downline. But I do a lot of that stuff and goal pushing with my personally sponsored coaches on my personally sponsored page. I do tons of shout outs on my team page. And I can actually can I do that, Brittany? Share my screen and show you guys my team page? Yeah. So let's do that. And then I can kind of give you an idea of what it looks like in there. So each month too, I do Team Leaders of the Week. I always do a leaderboard. Yeah. Does it take a lot of effort? Yeah, it does, but it gets people pumped up and they want to be on those boards. So like I have a pinned post where it is basically for new coaches. If they have a new coach, this gives them step-by-step on how to get started. We also have a welcome letter, but that's pinned at the top. But let me show you kind of what the page looks like, what the shout-outs look like. That's a Coach and Coffee thing. Here's one thing that I will suggest for you guys to do. This is another thing about affirming them and getting them to believe in themselves. I'll do little things like this. I'm an amazing team revival coach because, and then ask them to finish the sentence. And then they'll, start posting, and that's really, really cool. But here, let's see. So this is one where it's actually my coach is doing this now for some of her coaches. So it does get big, but I feel like it just starts to uplift people, and then it's a chain reaction effect. But I do more of those on this team page. I do a lot of videos. This one I shared her like page, not on that particular one, but I'll share their like pages and ask them to go support each other. We always do coach shout outs. Trying to find. This can get pretty big, but honestly, I've not had a problem. Let me show you my team page really quick, my personally sponsored page. Well, if my computer wasn't so slow. Okay, here we go. So on this one, I'll do more goal-oriented stuff with them. So like on August 27th, 5 days left, striving towards a goal. Again, September goals we'll post about. Let's see. Do a lot of videos in there. See, there's not a whole lot of coach shout outs, but this was one. So if, I'll shout out my personally sponsored coaches on there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Did that give you a better idea?
Yeah. No, I was just, because I've been trying to do it a lot more, so I was just seeing kind of what you did, and yeah, that really helps. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
What other questions do we have? Oh, come on. You're not all shy.
Okay, one other thing. I have another question.
I love you. Go.
Sorry. Okay, so I'm really trying to work on my mission statement also with my team. So how did you guys come up with that? Because I really liked yours, and so I'm wondering how you guys kind of collaborated with that, and if you did it with just your guest coaches or.
Yeah. So to cut down on that could take forever. So what I did was I went to Simon Sinek's website, and like I said, he does a fantastic job on getting you to really lay it out. So I just put a rough draft together. I posted it as a document, but I also had a vision statement call. And this was a while ago. I've had this for a long time. But we got on the call. I asked everyone to copy out the rough draft that I did the document with and give their notes on it. And then we just brainstormed. I do a lot of those type of calls. And some people don't have time for calls all the time. It can be overwhelming, right? But over this past year, I've just said to myself, I'm going to dive into this. I'm not going to tiptoe. And so I'm going to have calls. And if no one can show up, then that's okay. I'm still going to be there, and I'll do a recording. So that's what I did with this. We had a call and we brainstormed. I opened it up to the whole team. That's something that I do is I really, no matter if it's someone, couple like levels down, I really just try to encompass it all as a team, and that's helped.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, I got one. So I love your team page. It's so active. It's so vibrant. You got so much stuff going on there. How much of your time do you spend focused on your team? I mean, percentage-wise of all your other duties that you do too.
Yeah, I would say like 75% of my time is on recruiting and focusing on my team, honestly. And the other thing with that is a lot of my Success Club points are coming from my new coaches. So that, filters into the fact that I'm focusing on recruiting and my team page. But yeah, it's a big chunk of my time. But I am super adamant about doing my BAT first thing in the morning. So I'm able to knock a huge chunk of my workout first thing just by following my BAT. We've kind of created a different one, and I can share that with you guys if you would like. But, my whole day isn't just Beachbody. I have time to focus with my daughter when she's home, but I'm extremely deliberate about what I'm doing. So if I know that I need to do training videos and create posts for my team page, like that's what I'm doing first thing in the morning.
Oh, I have a question. Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, hi, Crystal. Thank you so much for your time today. I was wondering, and it might have been said at the onset in your intro, how long have you been a coach? How many people in your personally sponsored downline? And how many people on your team?
Yeah. So I signed up as a coach last June. I started really actively coaching probably very late July is when I started deciding that I was going to do this. I don't have a crazy amount of personally sponsored coaches. I have like 40 something personally sponsored coaches right now, and I have a few going inactive. But, I think I've been able to kind of climb up if you're looking at the 194 because of the idea that I just make it a point at the very beginning that they can hit Success Club. And I think not focusing just on Success Club, but with them becoming a leader, that's really helped. In my downline, I have 249.
And as an addendum, thank you. Where do you find most of your coaches? Is it blog, Facebook, Instagram, or just around town?
A lot of my coaches at the beginning came from Facebook, just watching my journey. And I have some coaches that are military spouses just from, past connections that I had. But lately I have really been getting out in town. I do a coffee and coaches meeting every Saturday morning, and that's a space for my local coaches to get together. But it's also a time when they can bring potential coaches, and they're going to be in an environment with like-minded people, and we're talking about Beachbody, but we can also answer any questions that they have. I also do fit clubs at a local elementary school. I ended it, last year. They're getting ready to start a new one, and so that's a huge pool of teachers that are going to be potential coaches. So now I'm more so kind of stepping out. I'm also active on Instagram. I really don't have time to be active on like every social media platform. So Facebook and Instagram are my social media platforms. And then now it's more so getting out into the community.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your time today.
Yeah, thanks.
We have time for 2 more questions. So what else are you dying to know that she's implementing into her business that's making her successful, or just anything else you want to add to it? Blair, I know you're not quiet. You're just muted.
I was like, why is it always me? That's not the quiet
No, you're not quiet. Do you have anything you want to add to this or any questions for Crystal?
No, I'm taking a lot of really great notes. There's things I'm going to be implementing and taking back to my team.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Thanks for letting me call you out, girlfriend.
I'm looking at everything and I'm thinking.
Any other last questions before we wrap this up?
I think I see one from Shannon. She said, how are you tracking your contacts, coaches, etc.?
Yeah.
Let me be real with you. So there's all these fancy ways to track, right? A lot of my coaches really love Asana. If you don't know what that is, it is a great tracking system. It is free, phenomenal if you like to track with that. I like pen to paper. So I have multiple ones of these, and they are lined up. So I have one for coaches, I have one for challengers, and I have one for challenger to coach conversion. So anyone that I have as a challenger, they eventually will be a coach. That's what I have in my mind. That's my vision for all of my challengers, because they make the best coaches, right? So I have 3 notebooks, and that's how I track them. I also have this whiteboard that I track too. And so, like, especially for my personally sponsored coaches, I have, if they're not active, they don't go into my account. So I have this whiteboard. It's in front of me every single day. I have my coaches. I have my push for 5-star elite that I'm hoping to get by September. I have my September now Success Club points for all my coaches. And then I have a quote. And then I have like yearly goals. So that board, you can get it at Home Depot for like $9. And this is actually half of one. So I have this cut in half. And in my kitchen, I have another whiteboard with more Beachbody stuff. And I have this one. So for me, it's very important to have these things in my face every single day. Side note, another thing that I also do is I reach out to 3 of my coaches every day and just ask them how they are. Not Beachbody related. I just want to know if they're doing good, if there's anything they need on a personal level. So I keep track with that each day as well.
Awesome. I love that, because you're also developing your relationship and it's not all about work. So,
Yeah.
Okay. One last question before I wrap us up. You guys are so quiet. It's normally not like that. Obviously, you took it all in.
The whiteboard thing is like probably one of the best things I've told my coaches to do. And I actually, I put mine in front of my toilet.
Nice.
There you go. If you spend a lot of time,
Because I joke around that, then everyone can look at the goals. Because my husband seems to be in there quite a bit.
I love it. That's right. Yeah, that's great. Okay.
You got to put them in places where you know you're going to be looking at it. So when she said that, I was like, yep, that's where mine sits. You drink a lot of water.
Ain't that true? Thank you for that.
Yeah. There was your input.
Yeah, thank you for your input. Oh my gosh, I love it. And I love that this is recording. Anyways, with that being said, so I'm going to wrap up this call. Crystal, thank you so much, first and foremost. That was an amazing call and clearly shows why you are so successful. So now it's putting this call into action. That's what these calls are all about. So I'm going to ask you guys 2 questions, and of course I'll post this in the group later. But the first one is, I want you guys to focus on your strengths. So what does that mean? When you focus on your strengths, what are you going to attract? So my question there is going to be, who are you going to attract based off your strengths? Okay, let's focus on strengths and what that can do for us. Second thing is, how are you going to inspire your coaches into action, especially with a new month, a new promotion that's like kick booty. Holy cow. Are you guys excited about that? It's like a Success Club 5. Yeah, dude, $300 value, amazing. And then also, how are you going to inspire your coaches into action for the end of the year? Because what you do right now is going to implement what your year is going to look like. So if your coaches are saying, you know what, it's just been slow, I will tell you, what did they do 30 days ago? Because that's what created them to be slow. So what you do right now, you draw a line in the sand and you move forward and you say, you know what, let's implement it. Let's see where we can end this year strong. Okay? So those are the 2 questions I'm going to ask. But really, this is all about inspiring your coaches into action. Do it now. You're going to set yourself up for success for the end of the year and, of course, for the beginning of the year. All right. Thank you all for being involved. Thanks again, Crystal. That was an amazing call. You all have a great day, and I will see you next week. Bye.